I try all the roller coasters. I mean, easy ones and the tough ones. You know, those rides are like seconds, could be maybe minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes. The one we have in Abu Dhabi here in Ferrari World is maybe seconds because it's the fastest in the world. It's really stressful. It's very stressful, but it's good stress. Yeah, and it's only for a short time. Imagine you have that roller coaster for 8 hours per day. Marhaba, and how's it going, everyone? For those who are new to the show, this is Yuwab, a space dedicated to have answers to calm your mind, empowering your workplace, and trust me, eventually, it will leave you in a great state of mind to unlock your full potential. I'm your host, Saeed Alghafri, and let me just express how grateful I am for having you here and you allocating the time to hear me out. Today's episode is all about internal dialogue, and who doesn't love to hear their internal dialogue? Who doesn't? For me, when I basically drive, my mind just start to have those internal dialogues. I'll be talking to myself, having those internal dialogues, and it just stimulates creativity when it comes to that. You know, some people like to do it while they're having their shower. Sometimes also I enjoy doing that when I jog or when I run. You know, your imagination is really unstoppable, right? But Saeed, shoot, قص علينا أنت. تعال, you told us last time that when you meditate, you're not supposed to dwell into your imagination. Yes, I did that. And I did not forget. And I really didn't lie to you when I said that. But again, our internal dialogue is so amazing. And it leads to creativity. So we need to keep that in mind. But, and there is always but when it comes to that, sometimes it leads into worrying. And then when you over worry, when you worry too much, that will lead into anxiety. And that's absolutely not good. Sometimes it's really dangerous for you. It affects your health and your mental state. You remember I shared with you my story when I was stuck? At that time, you know what happened to me when I was stuck? I was really worrying. I got really worried about my current position, my status, etc. I had thoughts. I had a lot of thoughts, although I meditate and I really practice mindfulness. But again, when I was overthinking about that specific situation, I was very much worried. That led me into isolating myself. I mean, I wanted to isolate myself. Sometimes I just take myself out and I just go and do nothing. Just keep worrying and keep having that thought. And it leads also into judging your credibility because, you know, as a CEO of a company, it's not good. It's not good to have that feeling. And don't forget your integrity also. It's really not good. And you know what? I was like, oh my God. I really felt like crap at that time. You know, it was really some deep feelings, which I'm really not proud of. But again, that was a moment in my life and I learned a lot from it. And that's how I embrace life. And I'd like you also to embrace it this way. So now what do you think? Yeah? Even my face when I just narrated that story tells you that. It's all negative, you know? And you know, the whole emotions, the whole body language, and the whole face expression isn't that great. So today we will talk about worrisome, and that would sometimes lead into anxiety. And let me tell you something. Let me just have a disclaimer with you. I'm not a therapist. I'm purely sharing with you my experience. And if you desperately need help when it comes to anxiety, you definitely need to consult a specialist. All right? So let's crack on. So today, I'm going to leave you with why over-worrying isn't good for you. Why is that? And what is really triggered when you have that worry in yourself, when you cultivate that? And how do you notice it? Yeah. And I'm just going to leave you with tips on how to ease it up. It's very important. So when we end up this episode, you're going to basically have some tips and then that will take you there. Now, why being worried is not good? Remember, in my first episode, I talked about this bulletproof framework. And what I said at that time, when I spoke about that framework, anything that touches you, the first thing goes into your mental health. And it's when you over worry, you're not clear anymore. Your clarity is not there anymore. And that's very important for you to focus and keep going. Now, when your mental is affected and you're not having clarity and you're not focused, what happens? Then you're going to touch on your spirituality. And what I mean by spirituality here is it will be shaken, and then you're going to basically be doubting your purpose, and you're going to have thoughts around it. Why do you exist? That will touch your values, and that's not good. When that happens, when thoughts are there, you're just going to worry. And that could be really sometimes unnecessary. Now, worrying is good, but you don't want that to be excited into anxiety. All right? That's very, very important. So here, when you overthink and when you worry too much, what happens? You just dwell into it. And you know what happened? You lose other opportunities. I coach a lot of people, and most of the time, they just overthink. They worry. And I always tell them, why do you worry? What's the main reason behind it? So keep that question in mind as we go through this episode. The second thing is your health. Because when you have excessive worrying and then anxiety is triggered, what happens? That will definitely impact your health, especially when your body or when your physical health is not good. It will trigger stress in your body, and then that could lead into chronic illness, and God forbid, you don't want that to happen. So your health is what takes you forward. The third one, when basically you are over worrying, is think about when you're at work or you're at home. And God forbid that doesn't happen. And God bless all of us here. Now, you need to be present. It's very important. And when you worry, you're not present anymore. Your empathy is not there anymore. It's basically down the drain. يعني انسى. لا, you cannot handle this. You cannot talk to people. You don't understand what's really happening around you. The emotions of the people around you in the room isn't very clear to you. You don't know even the dynamics. And that's not good. And you are not going to notice anything. And guess what will happen? Eventually, you're just going to have bad decisions. And then people would leave completely disappointed. And when that happens, when they leave that home, or imagine you are at home, the consequence isn't good. Automatically not good. So very important here is, don't do that. What will happen also is, you're just going to have some negative words, or you're not going to react to people's, let's say, solutions or challenges within the meeting or even at home. And trust me, when you have negative words happening, especially when someone is doing a good job, not to mention even a great job, that's not good. That's at all not good. And you don't want it, because that will drain that person and they're not going to be encouraged. Yeah. Then think about, you're not going to be focused. When you're at home or when you're at work, you're not really focused. And what I see is you're just going to confuse everyone around you. It's just going to be confusion and chaos. And you don't want that at work or at home. Because what happens? You go and work until 5 p.m. or 6 p.m. And then you try to go home, enjoy your time with your family, and imagine you have that confusion at home. You don't want it. You don't want that. People wants to go to that meeting because they want a decision and they want support. That's the main intent from any meeting we do. Yeah? Think of it this way. I love roller coasters. I really grew up, and I remember when I go to a theme park, I try all the roller coasters. I mean, easy ones and the tough ones. Those rides are like seconds, could be maybe minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes. The one we have in Abu Dhabi here in Ferrari World is maybe seconds because it's the fastest in the world. It's really stressful. It's very stressful, but it's good stress. Yeah. And it's only for a short time. Imagine you have that roller coaster for 8 hours per day. That's not good. That's really, really not good. And usually that happens when you have excitable employees around you, or maybe your, let's say, a family member or your boss is having that anxiety going, and it's so much visible, and you don't want that. Now, what happens, and I don't like that even at work, is the feeling could be when you over worry and when you're anxious is, it feels like as if hell is broken, but nothing is happening. Life goes on, things are normal, and that's not good. You need to show optimism. You need to be optimistic, even if hell is outside. Why? Because if you're really managing a critical project, or if there is a crisis, what people want is someone calm to conduct that meeting. It's very simple, even at home. So this is basically what happens when you're anxious. Now, when usually worrisome or anxiety is triggered, there are a couple situations that you see it triggered. And the first one is the most critical one, is when you have financial challenges. Yeah. And that is really visible. And I've seen it because I coach people, especially when you have a family. When you have a family and you over worry about financial situations, or let's say you have a debt or a financial obligation. Yeah. What will happen? Naturally, if you're not doing very well, it will lead to overthinking. And then you're going to worry about what's going to happen to my life, what's going to happen to my family, etc. I may be thrown out to the street. And I really wish I could help you with that. And if I could lend you money, but reality is that not possible. Now, something that I tell people is always be prepared, because you don't know what could happen. If you have one, let's say you have one source of income, think of having an additional one maybe. And just be prepared, because God knows what could happen. Really, God knows what would happen. So it's very important to have that financial stability when you have challenges. The second one is, and this is why most people approach me, it's not financial. The second one is when you have stress at work. And most of us are like that, especially in a demanding environment or a country. I know someone who moved from a country to the UAE. And he told me that the environment, the working environment here is really demanding. He felt like crap, actually. And I told him, listen, man, you know it. You look like an intelligent guy, but it's just the environment that requires that you give more. It's not like you need to have a different course. So that happens when you have an overtime, when you have more responsibility. And again, as I mentioned, when you go into a new working environment, also when you step to a higher managerial role, it happens. And the classic one is when you have a demanding boss. I mean, when you have a demanding boss, let's say it's a new one, it's not going to be easy on you. And I've been there, especially when you have a difficult coworker. Let's say a new person comes. Oh my God, sometimes when you deal with them, they drive you nuts. They really drive you nuts. So what I like to do is I like to journal about what happened throughout that situation. And I take frequent breaks because sometimes when you change the scene, it really helps. And this is something that I would advise people to do. Journal, take breaks, and then try to change the scene. The third one is we spoke about financial stability, work stress. The third one is health concerns. And honestly, all of us have gone through this, or at least saw someone who has gone through this, especially, God forbid, with, let's say, a disease that is fatal. It's a very painful process, very painful process. I'm just now recalling all the people that have gone through my life and have gone through this situation. Alhamdulillah, I'm very healthy, and I wish you all a blessed and a healthy life. You know, what happens is, if you go through that situation, you may end up going to all the hospitals and seeing all the doctors in the world, you know? And I don't blame you for that, because this is when you start worrying, and that leads you into anxiety. And honestly, you're not going to be listening, even if you went to the best doctor in the world. So my advice is probably have 3 opinions. That's good enough, or maybe 2. And ask people know who's credible, who's not credible, and all that. Yeah. The fourth one here is when you go through some critical moment, or let's say you want to do a keynote speech or a public presence. This not everyone can do. This I know. And let me tell you what happens when you basically stand in front of an audience. Yeah, if you start worrying and basically pay attention to what people think, what are you going to say? You're going to say, people don't like the way I look. My glasses is not good enough for some people. I need to wear a brand. The clothes I'm wearing is not good enough. It's probably tight. I need to do something about it. Just let go. Let go of that. And, you know, a lot of people say, okay, I need to fix my hair. Probably you have to. But again, if you think about that, you're not going to focus about the speech. Yeah, that's about you. Now, if you look at the people whom you were trying to basically tell them, or let's say have that speech given to them, you're going to see someone sleeping, someone is laughing, someone speaking to someone else, someone on the phone. Maybe you're going to get offended. But again, reality is not everyone should be your audience at the end of the day. That's why your fingers are not the same. You may like this thing, and some other people might like that. I'm always known to have to like cheesy jokes. I love cheesy jokes, honestly. For some reason, it's good for me. For my wife, honestly, she doesn't like them. So my advice to you is practice, practice, and practice, especially when you have critical moments. I know people that practice for a week and they go to a keynote speech and they don't do very well. And I know people that just give them 2-3 hours before the speech and they're going to do fantastic. So reality here is just practice on that. What's really important about this last one is your social and relationship. Now, let me tell you something. When you have issues at home and they're not settled, guess what will happen? You're just going to worry. And then you're going to take that worry to work or wherever you're going to go. Imagine you go with your friends and they're trying to have fun, and you're just worried about the situation. You're just going to be silent for the whole thing. And that's not good. So it's better that you settle it, right? Settle that. Even if it's not good, even if you're really wrong, even if you're right, just tell the other person, listen, I'm sorry, all right? And I just want to move on. And this is also an invitation for the other party. Please take care of the other person as well, because they're just trying to go there and enjoy their life. And if you make their life miserable, they're just going to over worry about the whole situation. And then you talk about social acceptance. And this is very important. I always remember the first day in school. You know, Very tough. Very tough. It's not easy, especially the first time I went to school. And the second year, when I see new students coming, honestly, they're not welcomed at all. At all. And I know that feeling because when I went and I studied in the USA, honestly, I felt really homesick because it's a completely new culture and I wasn't very much welcomed. Not because not because there is something wrong with me, because I could not blend in the culture very quick, and I didn't know the how to do it and the tips to basically cultivate at that time. So again, that's exactly the same when we're at work. Yeah. So when new joiners come, really make it easy on them for the love of God. Seriously, don't really try to compete from day one. Welcome them, embrace them, and then make their life easy. Yeah. Now, the third aspect of today's episode is how can we notice that we are starting to worry? Yeah. Honestly, it's not a secret. Seriously, let me tell you guys. And yani, honestly, your face show it. Look at my face now, right? Yeah, just easy. That's not a big deal. When you're down, what happens? Your face really show it. When you get sick, when you're not really clear, yeah, you're at work, you're really worrying, you will get sick naturally if your body is not really strong. Maybe there is something new happening to you, a new job, a new, let's say, I don't know, a new thing happening, a new clothes that you're not comfortable with, a new style, let's say a new haircut even, where you walk into a room and then you're not welcomed. Yes, honestly, you should not really worry. Honestly, you should not really worry about it. Now, even when you get married or you have a new partner in life, you are gonna worry about what will this relation lead into the future, right? I know I've been married. I'm married. I know the first day. So it was like, what am I gonna do with this stranger actually for the next 10 years or 20 years? Yeah. Even when you have a new pet. Recently, we have a bird at home, and I was really worried about how are we gonna feed it, and then you forget that you should have fun with that. And that's why I bank on self-awareness, because once you know those behaviors, whatever is surfacing on the surface, your strength, how you act, your values, when you're challenged, what happened, you're just going to listen to your self awareness. And then you're going to be much more present. And if you just need to know about that more, listen to my self awareness and presence episodes. Naturally, you're going to see a lot and you're going to learn a lot. Now, how can we the fourth element of today's episode is how can we ease this worrisome or anxiety level? All right, listen, let me tell you, we are all human beings at the end of the day. All right, so it's okay to worry, yeah, but not to a level where it's really excessive and it's hurting people. Okay, now very important is not all of us would have crisis, not the majority. Most of the people I speak to, they just worry unnecessarily. Some of us go through a lot and a lot of challenges. There, definitely, you need to worry. And you need to do something about it if you're not ready for that. Yeah. So let's talk about the first thing. The first thing is, let's say you're in a meeting, all right? And you are starting to worry. Now, it is okay to be negative, and that's normal. But again, it should not really be excessive. My advice is just be upfront with people. You are a human being. You're just showing your vulnerability that you're not well today and you are worried. Yeah. And again, if you are excessively worried and you feel like if you stay there, damage would happen, just leave. Because if you stay, that's not good. That's at all not good. Now, what I also tell people is sometimes it's good to take a break. Sometimes take a break, regroup, focus, listen to your breath. You know, today I hear a lot of people proud about back to back meetings. Honestly, when anyone tells me that they have back to back meetings, I say, Allah yainak. May God be with you. Because honestly, that's not good. You need to have a break. Your mind, your brain needs to recharge. Now, imagine when you go from back to back meeting, your mind would be so busy. Honestly, how could you do that? Wallah, ما أعرف كيف صراحة. How could people do that? You cannot. You cannot. Your mind requires that you rest a little bit and then go into that. You need to have that cycle. The key here is if you're stuck, let's say that خلاص يعني you are stuck in a meeting. Okay? What you need is presence and you need self-awareness. Because if you know those, you can control yourself. The third one is, and I like that. That's for me something that I've been doing a lot. Surround yourself with people whom you can trust, because these guys will rescue you when you need it. And tell them, have an agreement with them. Really have an agreement with them. So if let's say you go in a meeting, they're just gonna do something in the meeting, and then they're gonna rescue you. And sometimes when you're in a meeting, and I love energy transfer. Let's say you're really heated, and someone is balancing that. What happens is you're just gonna ease up a little bit, right? Let's say someone is having a laugh about it. I understand sometimes it's not really appropriate, but some people are really seasoned about cracking a joke, and trust me, that's very deep. It really hits the targets, and honestly, it's super rewarding when you have people who can cultivate that. You should be really grateful if those people exist in your life and at work. The fourth one is journal and journal. I'm sure you're sick of me talking about journaling, but again, it's a powerful tool. When you experience any negative feeling, write it down. And then try your level best to understand why and why and why it happened. All right? What happens is that your journal would help you release that worrisome as much as possible. All right? The fifth one is something I always bank about, and I spoke about it, is mindful meditation. When you worry, it's because you have those thoughts happening into your mind. A lot of thoughts are there. And then you start worrying. And then your emotions are very much visible because you had feelings now. When that happens, and you had some bad thoughts and bad emotions and bad feelings, what do you think your action would be? Not good. So mindful meditation help you really control those thoughts and understanding them. And then you're going to navigate better and have better reactions from that. The last one is exercising, And I remember I spoke in the past about when I got the first feedback. Honestly, I could not really, even though I meditated, I could not stop thinking until I went for, I don't know how long, 5 kilometers or maybe 6 or 7 of intensive run. What happens is it boosts all these nice hormones, all these nice chemicals within your body. And then you're going to have that positive feeling. Even if you're at work and you just go outside for a simple walk, listen to your music. Honestly, it's amazing. You're just going to feel good about it. And listen, having said that, and if you are in a situation where it's very excessive, I honestly advise you to seek professional help, because they're going to help you and they're going to support you in this. All right? At the end, It's okay to worry from time to time. Really, it's okay. As long as you can contain it and you are able to lead and live better. Okay? Even me now, after talking about this, look at my energy. It's absolutely drained. That's basically what happened when you talk about such topics. But I hope I left you in a good place to ease up your anxiety or worrisome. My advice to parents, leaders, or anyone out there, always remember, if you worry or if you're anxious, naturally everyone around you would be. Everyone. So I'm so keen to hear from you about being worried or anxiety, and share them with me in the comments here or in my LinkedIn. I'm very curious to know about your experience and how did you overcome that. All right? Until next time, thanks for being with me. And I'd like you to take care of yourself and those you care about. And really, if you find this episode so good, please like, share, and subscribe to my channels. You can find me on YouTube, Apple Podcast, and Spotify for now. مع السلامة.